Hello dear students, I am Garima Miss. Welcome back to my English lecture. After completing 1.3, the call of the soil, I must remind you that you have to write down the brainstorming and icebreaker questions by yourself in your notebook. Is that clear? तो आप लोग याद रखो, आपको ब्रेन स्टॉर्मिंग एंड आइस ब्रेकर क्वेश्चन खुद से कंप्लीट करना है. वेन एवर द कॉलेज विल रीओपन, जब भी खुलेगा, आई एम गोइंग टू चेक इट. ओके, इज दैट क्लियर? So that was about the last lecture. Now come to the today's lecture, that what we are going to do. We are going to start with a new poem, that is 2.3. There is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson. This, if you would see, poem is a piece of writing by the poetess. Name is Emily Dickinson, who is requesting with her brother to return back home, where she is comparing her home where he stays to the currently where she is staying here. So the poem, if you would see, she is finding out the differences where the brother, the name of the brother of Emily Dickinson is Austin. Where Austin is staying right now, there if you would see, there is no happiness, but the Emily Dickinson is promising ब्रदर कि जब तुम वापस आओगे इस घर में तो तुमको फुल हैप्पीनेस एंड एन्जॉयमेंट एंड ऑफ कोर्स द सेंस ऑफ बिलोंगिंग ऑफ द फैमिली मेंबर्स यू आर गोइंग टू गेट. Students, this poem conveys a sense of happiness that surrounds one home and the special bond that the siblings share. आपके भी ब्रदर सिस्टर्स है, करेक्ट? अभी उसमें से कोई एक, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, बाहर उसका जॉब लग गया है, आप उसको कितना मिस करते होगे. यू माइट बी मिसिंग हिम और हर, दोनों, ब्रदर भी हो सकती है, सिस्टर भी हो सकती है. तो कितना मिस करते हो कि कभी वो वापस आएगी, देन यू विल शेयर योर व्यूज़, बात कर सकते हो. आजकल तो अच्छा है कि वीडियो कॉल कर सकते हो, व्हाट्सअप चैट वगैरह कर सकते हो, बट पर्सनली मीटिंग इज़ द बेस्ट मीटिंग, आई वुड से. तो वो चीज़ आप बहुत मिस करते हो. एंड स्पेशली कब याद आता है उनका, जब यू कैन सी आपके कोई फेस्टिवल रहता है, व्हेन देयर इज़ अ फेस्टिवल और योर बर्थडेज आर देयर, एंड इफ़ यू आर नॉट फाइंडिंग देम, यू रियली फील वेरी बैड अबाउट इट. सो सेम वे हियर इज़ अ पोएट हु इज़ very much missing to her brother, and she is saying also that for me the brother is very important, and she is saying that why you are staying over there, come back here, we again have a good bonding and good sharing. और siblings का तो life, अगर आप देखो, आपके अगर brother sisters है तो एक भी एब्सेंट रहता है तो आपको बहुत याद आती है, और जब सामने रहते हो तो यू फाइट अ लॉट. yes, that's the true reality of every house, I feel. So overall, if you would see, the poem seems like a call to one sibling to return home back. एक सिस्टर है जो अपने भाई को बुला रही है कि कम ऑन, कम बैक टू द हाउस, बिकॉज शी मिसेस अ लॉट. ओके, नॉट ओनली शी बट द फैमिली मेम्बर्स, फादर मदर, सब लोग उसको वो अपने बेटे को मिस कर रहे हैं. सेम वे एमिली, she is the sister of Austin, and she is saying that I am missing you, my dear brother, a lot. The comparison this poetess is brought, ये जो ये एमिली डिकिंसन है, इन्होंने कंपैरिजन भी बहुत कुछ किया है. अपने घर को पैराडाइज बताया. पैराडाइज मतलब स्वर्ग. ऑफ कोर्स हर एक के लिए उसका घर जो है वो एक स्वर्ग की तरह है, जहाँ पे आपको फुल लव मिलता है, विथ योर मदर, विथ योर फादर, विथ योर ब्रदर, विथ योर सिस्टर. वो लव आपको कहीं पे भी नहीं मिल सकता. इट मीन्स द फैमिली दैट यू आर हैविंग, वेयर यू गेट द लव, केयरिंग, शेयरिंग, आपके सारे प्रॉब्लम्स, आपके हर चीज़ वहीं पे सॉल्व होते हैं. सो फैमिली से बढ़ के तो कुछ नहीं है, इन माई ओपिनियन. यस, सो दैट्स वाई द पोएटेस, दैट इज़ एमिली डिकिंसन, अपने घर को एक पैराडाइज बताती है, एंड कहती भी है, highlight one most important thing, that if you will come back, if my dear brother, if you are going to come back, you are again going to get that peace, that happiness which is there in our home. So she is requesting, convince कर रही है अपने brother को कि चले आओ यहाँ पर कुछ दिन के लिए तो आ जाओ एटलीस्ट, so that we again have a good happy family together. Okay, so thinking this in mind, we will start the poem. So what we are going to do today, it is listed in this slide properly. Please see. Firstly, we will do introduction of the poem. Secondly, we are going to do about the poet and the poem, who is the poet, and what is the poem all about. Thirdly, we are going to see the short summary, एक short summary हम देखेंगे poem का. And lastly, we are going to see line by line explanation of the poem. So let's get it started with the introduction of the poem. There is another sky where poet Emily Dickinson is saying to her brother that there is better place to live, my dear brother Austin. And where it is the place where Emily is staying, that is the home. So that is the if you would see poem all about, where she is saying that there is another sky. Another sky, it means there is another home. जहाँ तुम रहते हो उसके अलावा, the place where you are staying, apart from that there is one more home where all family members, we, that is father, mother, Emily, all are surviving. So please, my dear brother, come back soon. So that is the title. This poem is a Petrarchan sonnet. What do you mean by the term Petrarchan sonnet? Which means that it is consist of 14 lines. Can you please see this slide to understand it more properly? So now you can see it is consist of 14 lines. It is divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Can you please see your textbook on page number 76? You can see the poem is consist of 14 lines, where it is divided into two stanzas. Stanza 1 which is consist of 8 lines, और 8 lines के stanza को हम कहते हैं octave, OCTAVE. The first part of the poem is an octave. Octave where the stanza is of 8 lines, whereas the second part is known as sestet. Sestet means the stanza where the lines are total 6 lines. 6 lines makes sestet. So 8 plus 6 equal to 14, and thus sonnets, if you would see, is written in 14 lines. So this poem, if you would see, which was written as a part of a letter addressed by the Emily Dickinson to her younger brother Austin, where she tries to convince Austin to return back home, where she compares the house, the home where all brother, sister and family members are staying. Emily Dickinson compares it with पैराडाइज. तो आप ये पोएम में क्या पाओगे कि आपको सोनेट दिखेगा. सोनेट एक टाइप ऑफ पोएटिक डिवाइस है. Okay, it's a type of poetic way of writing the poem, where you can see it is Petrarchan poem where there are 14 lines. First part is octave where 8 lines are there, and second part, that is second stanza, is of 6 lines. Is that clear? So it makes 14 lines. So this poem, agar aap dekhoge, if you will see this poem is in a form of letter. एमिली डिकिंसन ने एक लेटर लिखा था और उसमें उन्होंने एक स्मॉल 14 लाइन्स का सोनेट लिखा था, और वो सोनेट बिकम्स वेरी पॉपुलर. ओके, दैट इज देयर इज अनदर स्काई. ओके, सो ये पोएम उस पे ही बेस्ड है. ये लेटर के थ्रू शी इज टेलिंग टू हर ब्रदर दैट माय डियर ब्रदर, कम बैक टू दिस हाउस विच इज़ द आइडियल प्लेस, बेस्ट प्लेस टू सर्वाइव. ओके, पोएम में अगर आप देखोगे स्टूडेंट, शी इज़ गोइंग ऑन कंपेयरिंग, comparing the house where she is staying to the house where her brother is currently staying there. जो currently जहाँ उसका भाई रह रहा है उससे अभी एमिली डिकिंसन जहाँ रहती है उससे comparison किया है. So there are some comparisons that you are going to find over there. So this is a piece of writing where the poet is pleading or requesting to her brother to return back home by comparing home to the place where her brother is currently staying. जो अब भी currently stay कर रहा है उससे उन्होंने एमिली डिकिंसन ने जहाँ एमिली रहती है उससे कंपेयर किया. मतलब जो घर where full family members are staying. Emily is there. With that, Emily is comparing to her brother Austin currently stay. So she cheers him up and promises also, वो promise भी करती है अपने brother को that if you will return back home you are going to gain again the warm affection and love. Okay, and the poem is filled with similarities where she go on comparing, and at last she says, Emily Dickinson says a very important thing, and that is she says that when you will return back our house is again going to become like paradise. सबका घर paradise जैसा है. Paradise मतलब heaven where parents are there, mother, sister, brother, father, all are there. So अगर ये सब लोग घर पे है it means और इससे अच्छा जगह कहाँ मिल सकता है, that is paradise or heaven. Okay, so that she has said. The poem, if you would see, is having lots of figures of speech. Okay, and which we are going to study, filled with figures of speech. And the poem, if you would see, is philosophical in nature, and the tone of the poem is encouraging, inspiring and pleading. Pleading means requesting. सो पोएम में अगर आप देखो तो अपने ब्रदर को इंस्पायर कर रही है, एंकरेज कर रही है, कन्विंस कर रही है, सो दैट her brother will listen to the call by the sister Emily and will return back home. And even she is saying, that is Emily is saying about the happiness, the peace would return back to the house when her brother Austin will come back to the home. वो ये भी बता रही है अपने भाई को कि जैसे तुम आओगे हमारे घर में वो ही हैप्पीनेस, वही पीस जो था हमारा पहले, it is going to return back again. The poem, if you would see, it is अपील टू द रीडर अ लॉट. मतलब हम रीडर्स को ना बहुत पसंद आने वाला है. वाई स्टूडेंट? बिकॉज इट इज़ गोइंग टू इमोशनली अटैच टू ऑल ऑफ अस, रियली एज अ फैमिली मेम्बर, बीइंग द फैमिली. सबके ब्रदर है, सबके सिस्टर है, पेरेंट्स आर देयर, तो आप लोग रियली वी आर इमोशनली कनेक्टेड विथ ईच अदर. सो पोएम भी आपको इमोशनली वी आर गोइंग टू कनेक्ट विथ इट and we are going to feel, okay, that if somebody is absent in the house, what is the meaning of missing, we will understand. ठीक है, so the feeling of longing for one's home we can understand through this poem. कि अगर कोई कभी किसी का बर्थडे रहता है और आपका ब्रदर एबसेंट है, मतलब एबसेंट मतलब मे बी गोइंग फॉर द जॉब टू द अनदर सिटी, ओके, एंड इज़ नॉट प्रेजेंट ओवर देयर, तो वो क्या प्रॉब्लम, आपको कैसा फील होता है, दैट इज़ द पोएम ऑल अबाउट. यू फील वेरी सैड अबाउट इट. येस, यू मिस टू योर यंग, टू योर elder brother or elder sister, whosoever it is. So overall the poem seems like a call to Emily's sibling, that is Austin, where she is saying to her brother to come back soon from the job and stay with the family members. So that's the introduction of the poem. So now we will do next part of this poem, that is about the poet and the poem. So now we will see who is Emily Dickinson. Please see the page number 76. Emily Dickinson, born in the year 1830 and died in the year 1886, is an American poet of the 19th century. 19th century की ये अमेरिकन पोएट है. She lived a lonely life, okay, where after the parents she was not having nobody at her house. That's why she feels so lonely and even requesting to her brother to return back home. मोस्ट ऑफ हर पोएम्स आर मोटिवेशनल एंड फिलोसॉफिकल. मैंने बताया उनके पोएम बहुत ही इंस्पायरिंग रहते हैं, मोटिवेट करते हैं रीड करने के लिए, एंड फिलोसॉफिकल इन नेचर मीन्स इट विल टीच यू समथिंग अबाउट द लाइफ. देयर आर यूनिक टू हर एरा एंड हर कैरेक्टराइज्ड बाय सिंपल एंड शॉर्ट लाइन्स. सो आप उनके पोएम का आप वैरायटी क्या देखोगे कि दे आर वेरी सिंपल वे ऑफ राइटिंग है, एंड वेरी शॉर्ट लाइन शी यूजेस. मतलब इतना डिफ़िकल्ट लैंग्वेज भी वो यूज़ नहीं करते हैं. सिंपल, लूसिड, इट मीन्स क्लियर लैंग्वेज दैट शी यूजेस, विच अट्रैक्ट्स टू द रीडर टू रीड more and more the poetry work of Emily Dickinson. It means her lines, the way of writing is very simple, which can connect to the readers. She often used slant rhymes and unconventional capitalization and punctuation. आप देखोगे उनके पोएम में प्रॉपरली राइमिंग तो आएगा नहीं. स्लैंट राइमिंग मीन्स कहीं पे रहेगा कहीं पे नहीं. सम प्लेसेस राइमिंग राइमिंग मालूम है ना, वर्ड्स आर देयर, सम प्लेसेस राइमिंग स्कीम वुड बी देयर एंड सम प्लेसेस राइमिंग स्कीम वुड नॉट बी देयर. So that is about Emily Dickinson, the way of writing, and also हर अनकन्वेंशनल कैपिटलाइजेशन. पोएम में आप देखोगे वो कहीं पे कैपिटल वर्ड्स यूज़ करती है, कहीं पे फर्स्ट लेटर कैपिटल यूज़ करती है. तो आप सोचोगे वाई. आप टेक्स्ट बुक में भी देख सकते हो, कहीं कहीं पे उसको हाईलाइट किया है, डार्क किया, जैसे उसका ब्रदर का नाम ऑस्टिन, शीरीन, फ्रॉस्ट, अनफेडिंग, प्रथी, ऐसे आप देखोगे इट हाईलाइट्स. ओके, सो दिस इज़ द फॉर्मेट ऑफ राइटिंग एमिली डिकिंसन. And she uses punctuation marks sometimes जहाँ पे use नहीं होना चाहिए, but still she uses the punctuation marks to makes us more understand what she wants to convey. Her poems are the charms एंड हाइम्स ऑफ लाइफ इन ऑल इट्स शेड्स. आप जैसे क्रिश्चियन में आप देखोगे शाम्स वी रीड, शाम्स मीन्स हाइम्स रहता है. जैसे लाइक हिंदू में, हिंदुइज़्म में आप देखोगे भजन कीर्तन बोलते हैं, वैसे क्रिश्चियनिटी में इफ़ यू वुड सी देयर इज़ अ शाम्स. शाम्स मीन्स religious, you can see lines, poetry, okay, it has been there which reflects about the religion. But here her poem are like the shams and hymns, very beautifully crafted, you can see, way of writing, and which reflects the shades of life. It means what is there in our life. ओके, थिंग्स विच आर वेरी फिलोसॉफिकल, मतलब क्या हमारे लाइफ का रियलिटी है. शी प्रेजेंट्स ऑल साइड्स ऑफ लाइफ. ओके, इट मीन्स शी हाईलाइट द फैक्ट क्या है हमारे रियलिटी लाइफ का. दैट रिप्रेजेंट्स, दैट शी यूज टू रिप्रेजेंट. इट मीन्स शी रिप्रेजेंट द रियल आइडियल नेचर ऑफ लाइफ. ओके, वेयर हैप्पीनेस इज ऑल्सो देयर, इवन सैडनेस इज ऑल्सो देयर. वो दोनों चीज़ रिप्रेजेंट करती है अपने पोएम में. सैडनेस भी करती है, हैप्पीनेस भी करती है, एंड दैट इज़ द वे ऑफ राइटिंग about Emily Dickinson. So she expresses happiness as well as sadness both in her writing. So both sides she represents in a very factual way. Properly she presents. So that is about Emily Dickinson. Let's move on about the poem. Next para. There is another sky is an inspirational poem. आपको इंस्पायर करेगा. It will motivate you. Okay, with a message of never say die. It means it will motivate you कि हमको भी कभी नेवर से डाई नहीं होना चाहिए. हम लोग थोड़ा हार्ड वर्क करने के बाद हम लोग सोचते जाने दो, नहीं हो रहा तो नहीं होने दो. बट वी डू नॉट हैव टू से दिस थॉट नेवर से डाई. इट मीन्स हम लोग को कभी भी फील नहीं करना चाहिए दैट आई एम गोइंग टू सरेंडर. कभी भी सरेंडर मत करो. गो ऑन डूइंग लॉट्स एंड लॉट्स ऑफ हार्ड वर्क. यू आर डेफिनेटली गोइंग टू गेट द सक्सेस इन योर लाइफ. सो नेवर से डाई, इट मीन्स नेवर से दैट आई एम नॉट एबल टू डू इट. ऑलवेज से दैट आई कैन डू इट. आई एम डूइंग इट एंड आई विल अचीव इट. आई एम गोइंग टू अचीव इट. ये थॉट रहना चाहिए. इट इज़ अ पेट्रार्कन सोनेट, अभी मैंने बताया, विथ ऑक्टेव एंड सस्टेट. ऑक्टेव मीन्स कंसिस्ट ऑफ 8 lines, सस्टेट मीन्स कंसिस्ट ऑफ 6 lines. द पोएट इज कम्युनिकेटिंग टू her brother through a letter. अभी मैंने बताया in the introduction where the poet Emily Dickinson is talking to her brother through letter. In that she had written one sonnet, and that is There is Another Sky. In this poem, if you would see, she encouraged her brother not to get depressed under any circumstances. वो अपने brother को encourage भी कर रही है कि तुम depress मत हो. If you are not getting good job over in the city or some problems are there, don't be depressed, okay, in any of the problem. And pleads means request. Pleads means request with him to return back home. And she is saying कि वहाँ पे अगर तुमको अच्छा जॉब नहीं मिल रहा है और बहुत प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है to survive in the city area, so she is saying to her younger brother Austin that my dear younger brother Austin, please come back here, return back to the home. लाइफ इज़ फुल ऑफ चैलेंजेस. यस, उसके पोएम में आप लोग को बहुत सारे फिलोसफिकल शैम्स और यू कैन सी हाइम्स मिलेंगे. सो हर लाइफ इज़, शी इज सेइंग दैट द लाइफ इज़ फुल ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स One have to tackle of course the challenges the with a पॉजिटिव एटीट्यूड. चैलेंजेस तो आएंगी, अच्छा लाइफ अगर आपको बनाना है तो आपको फेस करना है प्रॉब्लम्स, एंड इफ यू आर फेसिंग द प्रॉब्लम डेफिनेटली वन डे योर लाइफ वुड बी बेटर. The poem ends on an optimistic tone. Optimistic, underline the word, it means positive tone. The poem is filled with the positivity where she is telling to her brother that, come on, my dear brother, be positive, come back home. If you are not having the good life over there, return back. So it is motivating also, she is motivating also to her brother that city में ही अगर रहना है तो city में do the hard work, definitely you are going to get the success, and if any problem is there you can return back to your hometown. The brighter garden, यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो एक फ्रेज यूज हुआ है, अ ब्राइटर गार्डन इन सस्टेट. दैट इज सेकेंड पार्ट ऑफ द स्टेंजा का फर्स्ट लाइन आप देखोगे, अ ब्राइटर गार्डन यूज किया है. स्टैंड्स फॉर चॉइसेस दैट लाइफ ऑफर्स टू ऑल. हमारे लाइफ में बहुत सारे ऑफर्स आते हैं, मीन्स हाउ टू सर्वाइव द लाइफ, इट इज़ अप टू अस, इट इज़ द चॉइस इज़ आर्स. अब आपके ऊपर डिपेंड करता है. एज अ टीचर मैंने पढ़ा दिया आपको, एक चैप्टर पढ़ाया, जैसे द कॉल ऑफ द सॉइल आई हैड टॉट यू. नाउ द चॉइस इज़ योर्स. दोज हु आर रियली वेरी डेडिकेटेड, बहुत ध्यान देते हैं, स्टडी कर रहे हैं, वो लोग पूरा नोट्स अपना कंप्लीट करके पढ़ के बैठेंगे. चॉइस इज़ योर्स. वही दूसरा होगा, कुछ भी नोटबुक में नोट्स नहीं लिखा, कुछ पढ़ा ही नहीं, कुछ भी मालूम नहीं, रिवाइजन किया ही नहीं, तो कैसे पास होएगा. द चॉइस इज़ योर्स. सो द लाइफ शी इज़ प्रेजेंटिंग दैट द चॉइस इज़ योर्स. what you want to become, you want to really become a good person, you will definitely daily you are going to do lots of hard work and study. कुछ भी नहीं मेहनत करोगे तो कैसे कुछ बन पाओगे. So she is encouraging to all our 11th standard student also that if you want to make your 12th standard better, do hard work, definitely you are going to get success in your life. So the choice is yours, how and where you want to move your life. कहाँ पे कैसे अपना लाइफ तुमको मूव करना है, whether you want to a good, whether you want to become a good person, what you want to become, that the poem it focuses on. So that is the short you can see about the poem. Let's move on to the short summary of the poem. There is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson. She was one of the greatest American poetess, and she had written this poem in sonnet form. Sonnet is consisting of 14 lines. It is a part of, this poem is a part of letter where the poetess Emily Dickinson had written to her younger brother Austin, asking him to return home. It can be said that poem is philosophical in nature, where it talks about our life, about our relationships with our family members, the bonding that we share with our family members. The tone of this poem is encouraging, motivating, inspiring, and of course, one sister is requesting or pleading to her younger brother to come back or return back home as soon as possible. It is a call for a loved one to return home, that is to happiness and peace. Here Emily is saying to her brother that if you will return back home, the again happiness and peace life that we are having here will come back. The poem begins with the line, there is another sky, wherein the poet is referring to heaven. ये जो घर में एमिली रह रही है उस घर को उसने हेवन बोला है, पैराडाइज. ओके, ऑफ कोर्स इट इज मेटाफोरिकल. मेटाफोर वी ऑल नो, विदाउट यूजिंग एज, लाइक एंड सो, देयर इज इनडायरेक्ट कंपैरिजन, सो वी कैन कॉल इट as metaphor. The poem is filled with metaphorical language, okay, where the poetess Emily is indirectly comparing the full happiness, peace and love which she can give to her brother at home with the beautiful garden of the nature. She describes the beauty of it by telling us that the sunshine in this place that shines through darkness. Here the poetess, that is Emily Dickinson, here मतलब जहाँ पे वो रह रही है वहाँ पे वो अपने लाइफ को sunshine बता रही है and saying that this is like the sunshine, my dear brother. If you are coming over here, you are going to get the beautiful garden, sunshine you are going to get, and of course you are free from the darkness where you are currently staying. जहाँ रह रहे हो उस darkness से तो better है कि यहाँ पर तुमको sunshine मिलेगा. The forest remain green throughout the year and the garden is a cheerful place with the bees humming amidst colorful flowers. Poetess is saying the place where we are staying, she is indirectly comparing with the garden. Garden आपने देखा होगा, it's a cheerful place. When you will go there, the full of flowers are there, where bees are humming over there, and colorful flowers of course going to change your mind. Same way poetess Emily is saying to her brother Austin that return back to this garden where there is again sunshine, where there is again happiness, again there is colorful flowers and bees are humming. It means full happiness will return back when you are coming back to our house. The beauty of it all seems surreal and not related to the physical world that we live. The poetess is, मैंने बताया कि ये poem philosophical है, तो of course वो रियल लाइफ को इनडायरेक्टली कंपेयर कर रही है विद द नेचर, विद द वर्ल्ड दैट वी ऑल ड्रीम फॉर. सो वो बोल रही है जैसे हम ड्रीम देखते हैं कि हम ब्यूटीफुल गार्डन में हैं, फ्लावर्स आर देयर, बीज आर हमिंग, सेम वे हमारा अपने भाई को समझा रही है कि रिटर्न बैक होम, यहाँ पे भी तुमको फुल हैप्पीनेस, फुल एन्जॉयमेंट एंड फुल केयरिंग एंड शेयरिंग यू आर गोइंग टू गेट इफ यू रिटर्न बैक टू आवर हाउस. Thus, she tells her brother to ignore the faded forest. वो अपने ब्रदर को बोल रही है कि जहाँ पे रहते हो it is indirectly compared with the faded forest. It means no greenness is there, your dry leaves are there, no you can see flowers are there. तो वो faded forest वो बता रही है, and silent field where nobody is enjoying, happiness is not there and totally silence is there. तो जहाँ पे वो उसका भाई रह रहा है उसको वो बोल रही है फेडेड फॉरेस्ट एंड साइलेंट फील्ड्स ऑफ द रियल वर्ल्ड. इट मीन्स शी इज कंपेयरिंग दैट faded forest and silent fields with the city life where nobody is talking with anyone, all are in their work, nobody is caring for each other, so lots of problems are there. So that's why you can see sister is saying that my dear brother, there is full of sadness. जहाँ पे तुम currently रह रहे हो there is full of sadness, emptiness. कोई भी if you would see there is no point of feelingness is not there. किसी को किसी के लिए feel नहीं है. there is full of empty, मतलब कोई respect, कोई feeling नहीं है. So why you are staying there? Rather she is requesting to her brother that visit to this garden, the place where your family is there and where there is a full of love and happiness. On a higher level, it is understood that through the lines of the poem, the poet, that is Emily Dickinson, is actually referring to their home with the paradise. अपने घर को क्या बता रही है? पैराडाइज. ऑफ कोर्स हम सबका घर, फैमिली जहाँ पे रहती है वो हमारे लिए पैराडाइज है, एंड दैट्स द एमिली डिकिंसन इज सेइंग. टुवर्ड्स द एंड शी इज रिक्वेस्टिंग, that is pleading to her brother to return to this paradise or heaven like home, that is this place जहाँ पे वो रह रही है एमिली डिकिंसन. she is requesting to her brother that return back this heaven like place which is the home, जो हमारा घर है, please return back to the family. Is that clear? So the poem is small to understand but have a deeper meaning. The poem appeals to the readers as it pulls the emotional strings by evoking the feeling of longing for one's home. मतलब अगर कोई घर में नहीं रहता है और उसकी कितनी फीलिंग होती है, that one sister is facing, and that how much she miss to her brother, how much she is feeling the sense of emptiness when her brother is not there. Through this poem, through this sonnet, Emily Dickinson is presenting over here. The poem is filled with metaphors and that we are going to see. So this is the summary all about. So let's start line by line explanation of the poem. We will take four lines so that the explanation would happen more properly. So first four lines we will see. You can see in this slide I had given the meaning also for you to better understand. First four lines are as follows. There is another sky ever serene and fair, and there is another sunshine though it be darkness there. So here and there, यहाँ पे दो words अगर आप देखो तो poetess is using. यहाँ पे इस line में, if you would see in these four lines, she had used somewhere around 3 times there, where his brother ऑस्टिन इज स्टेइंग करेंटली. सो वो जगह को वो देयर बता रही है. ठीक है. सो द पोएम मीनिंग इफ यू वुड सी द पोएट दैट इज एमिली डिकिंसन सेज दैट देयर इज अनदर स्काई, मीनिंग दैट देयर इज अनदर प्लेस दैट इज होम फॉर पोएट्स ब्रदर टू कम बैक टू. मतलब वो बोल रही है कि तुम जहाँ पे रह रहे हो उसके अलावा इफ यू वुड सी there you are not going to get more happiness. So that's why the poetess is requesting to her brother that come back soon. This heaven, मतलब जहाँ पे एमिली डिकिंसन रह रही है उसको उसने heaven बोला है. okay, that is paradise. Like place which is home is peaceful and just. It means of course सबका घर peaceful है, happiness से भरा हुआ है. So she is saying that if you are coming back to this house you are going to get full of happiness and joy. It home मतलब home को बता रही है जिसमें वो रह रही है presently is full of sunshine. She is saying that my dear brother please come back to this house क्योंकि यहाँ पे सिर्फ sunshine है. okay, sunshine means warmth and happiness is there, though the place, the physical world that is where the brother lives might be full of darkness, that is pain and sadness. मतलब जहाँ वो देर रह रहा है वहाँ पे तुमको सिर्फ डार्कनेस मिलेगा, हैप्पीनेस नहीं मिलेगा, पेन, स्ट्रेस, प्रॉब्लम. ऑफकोर्स सिटी एरिया में यही सब रहता है. तो वो बोल रही है कि सिटी एरिया में अगर बहुत प्रॉब्लम है, स्ट्रेस है, पेन है, टेंशन है, सो लीव दैट एंड कम बैक टू हियर, दैट इज वेयर योर फैमिली मेंबर्स आर स्टेइंग. सो दैट इज द फोर लाइन्स ऑल अबाउट. नेक्स्ट फोर लाइन्स शैल वी टेक. Never mind faded forest, Austin, never mind silent fields, here is a little forest whose leaves is evergreen. वो ये बता रही है, she is saying that never mind, never feel that वहाँ पे you can see faded forest is there. अगर यहाँ पे सनशाइन है, ग्रीननेस इज देयर मीन्स हैप्पीनेस इज देयर. सिटी एरिया में my brother is staying where he is alone, she is feeling that my brother is totally like faded forest. He is staying in a faded forest where no happiness and joy is there. Never mind silent fields, मतलब वहाँ पे full of silence and nobody is talking to anyone. You can see nobody is thinking about anyone's problems or pain. okay, and here is little forest. अब वो अपने घर को जहाँ रह रही है एमिली डिकिंसन, उसको here बता के you can see pronoun she is using here by saying that this is a small forest, छोटा सा घर है but full of happiness, whose leaf is evergreen. मतलब यहाँ पे कभी भी आपको sadness or problems or tensions, pain you are not going to face, you are only going to face the happiness, happiness and happiness. So that here it has been said. See the meaning. The poet addressed her brother and asked him not to focus on the faded forest, okay, or dull or gloomy problems or the silent field. मतलब emptiness और sorrow, जितना भी tension है, problem है, उसके ऊपर ध्यान मत दो, and return back to the home where your sister is staying. That she is appealing to her brother of the physical world. She tells him about a little forest. okay, बता भी रही है कि ये घर हमारा एक small forest की तरह है, like it is evergreen, full of greenness is there, forever greenery is there, means full of happiness is there, that is never has a dull or gloomy moment. means यहाँ पे तो तुमको अगर तुम वापस आते हो तो तुमको कभी भी फील नहीं होगा sad, dull और problems और pain. so return back my dear brother. ये आपका octave था. now come to the sustate. sustate के दो lines हम लेंगे to make the lines understand line by line more properly. here is a brighter garden where not a frost has been. here अब वो अपने घर में जहाँ रहती है, द पोएटेस वेयर शी इज स्टेइंग दैट इज एमिली डिकिंसन, उसको उसने प्रोनाउन हियर यूज़ किया है, और जहाँ उसका भाई रहता है उसको उसने देयर बोला है. ठीक है. सो हियर इज ब्राइटर गार्डन, वो बोल रही है यहाँ पर आ जाओ, यहाँ पे फुल ऑफ हैप्पीनेस इज देयर. ओके, वेयर नॉट अ फ्रॉस्ट हैज़ बीन, और वहाँ पे तो फुल ऐसा लग रहा है कि लाइक इन द विंटर सीजन फुल एरिया इज कवर्ड विद द आइसबर्ग्स. तो वो कंपैरिजन कर रही है. ठीक है. शी कंपेयर्स home to a happier garden. Okay, poetess, if you would see, indirectly comparing अपने घर को एक bright happier garden compare करिए, reference to the paradise. Okay, paradise, that is the heaven where you are going to get the beautiful greenery. Okay, which has been never touched by frost. और ये जो greenery है यहाँ पे बिल्कुल भी problems and tension नहीं है. Frost means darkness or pain. You are not going to find any problems or any pain over here. That is the two line. Next two lines shall we take. In its unfading flowers, I hear the bright bee hum. यहाँ पे वो ये भी बोल रही है कि यहाँ पर आ जाओ ब्रदर, ये एक यू कैन सी पैराडाइज की तरह स्मॉल हाउस वेयर फुल ऑफ हैप्पीनेस एंड एंजॉयमेंट इज देयर, full of sharing, caring, sharing is there. So she is saying, come back to this paradise. The poet's home, that is Emily Dickinson बोल रही है, it's like the paradise is full of flowers that can never fade. ये flowers कभी fade नहीं होगा. Means जो हमारा bonding है, जो हमारा sibling का bonding है, that is never going to be die, and we are every time together forever. Okay, that she is saying through this line. And she is saying that हमारा जो bonding है, it's like flowers which is every time be smelling. The poet can hear the bee humming cheerfully. और वो ये भी बोल रही है कि जैसे flowers के ऊपर bees humming करते हैं, वॉइस करते हैं, सेम वे हमारा बॉन्डिंग, हमारा जो स्ट्रिंग्स है, दैट वी आर वेरी क्लोजली रिलेटेड, कनेक्टेड विथ ईच अदर एज अ सिबलिंग, एज अ ब्रदर एंड सिस्टर. गुड बॉन्डिंग इज देयर, दैट वी आर गुड in loving, sharing, caring for each other. That will always there. So she is requesting to her brother to return back home from that place. Last two lines can we see. Prethi, my brother. Prethi, if you would see, its meaning is given nickname for her brother Austin. इसके दो मीनिंग एक्चुअली. अपने ब्रदर को वो ऑस्टिन करके, प्रेथी करके बुला रही है, दैट इज निकनेम. ओके, एंड वन मोर इट इज, इट्स एक्चुअली इफ यू वुड सी, इट्स अ ओल्ड इंग्लिश and it means politely we say please. So Prethi here, it is having the two meaning. First one is, of course, she is telling to her brother to return back, that is Austin ko bula rahi hai. Secondly, she is requesting. She is requesting and she is saying, please my brother, into my garden come. She is saying, aa jao yahi ghar mein rehne, please come back my dear brother. So the poetess, that is Emily Dickinson, at last pleads with her brother to come and join her in this garden, that is the home where the Emily Dickinson is staying, that is full of love and warmth, where no problem and tension, that is unfading मतलब होता है जो कभी ना fade हो, that is full of brightness is there. Okay, that brightness is still there if you are coming back to this place to survive. A perfect place, like just like paradise. ये हमारा घर एक perfect place है where full of happiness, bonding, relationships that is we are having, it is every time there, and we are going to be a good brother and sister and forever. So she is saying that, my dear brother, please return back home as soon as possible, because we are missing you a lot, especially family members are missing to Austin a lot. So she had written one poem, that is sonnet, by requesting or pleading to her brother to return back home. So that is poem all about. I hope you understood line by line explanation of the poem. So by this we come to the end of this lecture, where we had seen today introduction of the poem, we had seen poem, secondly we had seen about the poet and the poem, thirdly we had seen summary of the poem, and lastly we had seen line by line explanation of the poem. So in the next lecture we are going to see figures of speech as well as appreciation of this poem. Read the poem very carefully, try to find out figures of speech, however we are going to see in the next lecture, and enjoy learning. This is Garima signing off. Stay safe.